Now, this goalie came to major prominence in the early 1960s, and by the time he turned pro, he had such a fan base, not only because of his interesting way of being a goaltender, all the anecdotes and stories that surrounded him. Basically, he used to roam for his net, allegedly he used to shower between periods. He'd basically talked allegedly to his goalposts. That yet to be confirmed if Patrick Roy and him were like distant cousins. So today we're going to talk about Vezina Trophy winner and a very durable and long-standing goalie, Gary Smith. Now, Gary Edward Suitcase Smith, born February 4th, 1944 in Ottawa, was one of the biggest goalies of his time. At 6'4", 205 pounds, he came to major prominence by playing his junior hockey with the St. Mike's Majors. He also played with the Toronto Neil McNeil Maroons and the Toronto Marlies when he won a Memorial Cup with them in '64. Now in '65, Smith entered the NHL with the Toronto Maple Leafs as one of 5 goalies who played for the Maple Leafs during the 66-67 regular season. Now he didn't play in the playoffs that season because he had a cup of water with Toronto in '66, losing both games, and he had 3 more games with the Maple Leafs in '67, winning, losing both of his contests. Now, the idea of Gary Smith, he's connected with a lot of NHL history, and we're going to start very slow. Now, he played with quite a number of teams, and some of them good, some of them bad. He was taken by California in the draft. He eventually played with the dismal California Golden Seals in the expansion 12 era from '67-71. Now, he set records in '71 for both the most games played in a season and most losses in a year. His first major league success came when he moved over to Chicago in '71-72, when he shared the Vezina Trophy with Espo for the top average on the season. Now, 1 year later, Smith and Esposito would help the Blackhawks to the Stanley Cup final, where he would lose to the Montreal Canadiens in 6 games. Now, his 74-75 season was quite impressive as well, because he led the Canucks with 72 games played, and he won the division that year, and he played the Montreal Canadiens in the first round in a very interesting series. Highlights of this can be found on YouTube. I watch them all the time. Now, he placed 5th in balloting for the 75 Hart Trophy, which goes to the player judged the most valuable to his team in the NHL. Now, Bobby Clark said in his '75 acceptance speech that Smith was more deserving of the award. And here's why. I don't think Vancouver would have made the playoffs that year and be so successful were it not for Gary Smith. Now, Smith later jumped to the WHA and was a teammate of Wayne Gretzky when he played for the Indianapolis Racers. He was also part of the Winnipeg Jets' '79 Avco World Cup trophy title. Now, Smith's last coach in Winnipeg was Tom McVie. He coached Smith the previous season while both were with the Washington Capitals. Now, the Jets played the Oilers, led by Gretzky, in the finals of the Avco Cup. Ironically, when Gretzky went to the first game in Maple Leaf Gardens, Smith was one of the goalies in the game. The Maple Leafs played the California Golden Seals, and Smith was the Seals goalie. Now, Smith also gave up the last goal in WHA history to Dave Semenko. Now, Smith has had many other claims to fame, according to an interview in the Vancouver province in '97. In his first NHL game, Smith left the crease in an attempt to score a goal. He got to the Canadiens' blue line, but then J.C. Tremblay came along. He nailed me, said Smith. As a result of his tendency to skate past the blue line, the NHL introduced a rule preventing the goalie from crossing the center red line. Now, in another game, Smith punted the puck in Maple Leaf Gardens, almost hitting the clock. Another time, he left the Vancouver Pacific Coliseum, still wearing his goalie uniform. It's tough driving in your skates, he said in his same 1997 interview. Now, as of 1977, he was living in Vancouver and managing the racehorses he owned, including one named Broadcaster, named after his brother Brian. Unfortunately, Brian was an Ottawa broadcaster who was murdered. Now, Gary currently lives in California and continues in the horse scene. Now, again, awards and achievements like Memorial Cup in '64, Vezina Trophy winner 72 with Espoo. Played in the 75 NHL All-Star Game. Avco World Cup Championship in 79. And again, the NHL record for most losses in season, 48 to 1971. So let's talk about that 1971 season. Okay? These were the statistics. He had a 91% save percentage 89% save percentage that year. Only a 3.86 average. You think playing for 71 games was dirty. 1948-4, 256 goals against, almost 4,000 minutes played, and 2 shutouts. So, a very, very impressive total for a negative team. See, with the Seals, he lost 82 games over 2 seasons, which either shows you how bad he was, but that season he lost 34 games the year before. He had a 3.11 average, so it wasn't too bad. And that team, of all things, made the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. Now, 72 Chicago, 14-5-6, enough for the 25-game limit, 2.42 average with 5 shutouts. Now, in Vancouver, the big season of 75, 32-24-9 with 6 shutouts with a 3.09 average. And again, he played 4 to 5 games with Montreal with a 1-3 record. Now, he ended up in Minnesota in 77, Washington 78, then in Minnesota again in 78, after then he was in Fort Wayne for some of the 78 season in CHL. Played with the Racers in 79, never won a game, 0-10-1, 5.51 average. When he ended up in Winnipeg, 7-3 record with a 2.97 average and an 8-2 record in the playoffs. 79-80 back to the NHL, 4-11-4 with a 4.08 average, and 79-80 ended up his career with the Tulsa Oilers. NHL totals. Bear with me because it's 532 games, 173, 26, and 74, 1,675 goals against, 3.39 average with 26 shutouts. Playoffs 5-13 with 1 shutout. At WHA 7-13-4, again with those 2 teams in 22 contests, and playoffs 8-2 with a 3.73 average. So that was the year that the Jets were a high-scoring team. So I guess Gary calling him suitcase is kind of a misnomer, because he could have playing with teams that he did. He played with some of the worst teams in NHL history, but some of the best teams in NHL history. So for that, he deserves recognition as not only being a great goalie, a great character in hockey. So that's a legend of Gary Smith. And his hockey cards were worth a little bit more, because most of the Vancouver cards we were growing up were worthless in trading. There was only Gary Smith that was worth a little bit. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Have a good day.